Overall, all the priests confirmed one thing, that in Europe it is going to be worse. It is not going to be better, and the churches are getting more and more empty.
Italy's churches are becoming empty, and a lot of it is because younger Italians just don't want to go. In fact, church attendance has shrunk from 36% in 2001 to now under 19% in 2024.
The Church of England has decided to stop using the term church in an effort to modernize, stay relevant, and draw more people. According to a recent study, the word church is being phased out when new Church of England groups are formed. Instead, terms like place of worship, community center, and congregation are being used.
Now, Sunday morning around 10, I be time so. See, I'm empty. Nobody they go church. People will bring church come Africa. See, Sunday, church empty. Go our own Africa, go there this Sunday now, around this time, go church. Go and see for yourself.
So, life is very interesting, and today I'm at this amazing place in Udhiru. So basically it's the boundary between Nairobi and Kiambu County. And what you can see here, all these are churches. Can you imagine? Over 100 churches.
United Family International, Zimbabwe. This is one of the biggest churches in Africa with a weekly membership of 35,000 people. It was established in 2006. 4. Apostolic Church, Nigeria. The weekly membership of the church is 40,000. There are 4.5 million members in Nigeria and across the world. 3. Redeemed Christian Church of God, Nigeria. The church has an average church attendance of 50,000. It is one of the biggest churches in Africa. There are 5 million members. 2. Living Faith Church, Nigeria. The weekly membership of the church is 50,000. There are over 6 million members in 147 countries. 1. Deeper Life Bible Church, Nigeria. It's the biggest church in Africa. There are 65,000 weekly members.
Faith is personal. Faith is a relationship, a connection between the individual and God. Unmediated, intimate, and honest. Faith does not require gold-plated cathedrals, power hierarchies, and opulent robes. It does not demand the surrender of your possessions, your critical thinking, nor your autonomy. Yet institutions that claim to act in the name of God have often betrayed the very principles they claim to uphold. From the earliest popes to the most modern megachurches, the divergence between faith and organized religion has grown stark. This is a story of hypocrisy, exploitation, and human cost, told not to attack believers, but to hold systems more accountable. The irony: Jesus of Nazareth lived humbly. He walked among the poor. He healed the sick without asking for payment and welcomed the sinners of society. He did not build palaces. He did not accumulate wealth. He did not instruct followers to give up their livelihoods in exchange for salvation. His teachings were about love, justice, and humility. Peter, the first apostle, often called the first pope, lived similarly. He had no private estates, no political power, no luxurious surroundings. He was persecuted, jailed, and sometimes beaten for his faith. Together, Jesus and Peter embodied service over status, generosity over greed, and inclusion over judgment. And yet centuries later, their names are invoked to justify opulence, coercion, and exploitation. How did we go from a carpenter in Nazareth to a billion-dollar institution claiming divine mandate?
What if I told you that the Vatican helped Europe colonize the world, that it justified European colonialism in the name of spreading Christianity, that there are papal decrees that allowed European empires to take over entire countries? And for what? To allow colonizers to subjugate people, to take away their lands, wage war on their cultures, impose a self-conceived notion of racial superiority over them. And all of this just because the colonizers claimed that they were the ones who discovered new lands. So they had a right to rule over those new lands. Now the Vatican has come forward and apologized for what it did. It has apologized for helping the colonizers.
The Catholic Church stands as perhaps the most visibly divergent example of this. Its history is a catalogue of contradictions. Popes living in lavish palaces while the poor starved. Massive treasures amassed as congregants gave their tithes under duress, and leaders who were morally corrupt, violent, or negligent in ways that would horrify the very founders of Christianity. From the Crusades to colonial expansions, the Church acted as a political and economic power, often aligning with conquerors, kings, and emperors. Indigenous cultures were suppressed, languages, religions, and traditions were erased under the guise of civilizing and spreading the faith. Slavery was justified, exploitation was sanctified, and in the modern era, scandals of assault, cover-ups, and financial misconduct reveal a continued lack of accountability. The Church wields power in ways Jesus never envisioned, diverting resources that could feed the hungry to fund architecture, investments, and ceremonial displays of wealth. The Church's role in colonization is undeniable. Missionaries often preceded imperial armies, softening indigenous communities for conquest. Faith was wielded as a tool to justify land theft, slavery, and systemic oppression. Indigenous spiritual practices were denounced as heresy. Contraceptives were condemned even when their use could have prevented disease, unplanned pregnancies, and furtherance of poverty. Divorce processes were intentionally delayed, sometimes resulting in preventable deaths of spouses trapped in abusive marriages. In these actions, the Church acted against the principles of compassion, justice, and the protection of human life that Jesus taught. Faith became an instrument of control rather than liberation. Today, much of the world's faith remains vibrant, but the institutional church often replicates historical patterns of exploitation. In Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia, churches thrive. People attend in masses, seeking hope and miracles. Yet many congregants face tithes beyond their means, false promises of miracles, and leaders who thrive financially while followers remain impoverished. Fake miracles can create mass hysteria. Teachings often vilify traditional practices, labeling them pagan or sinful, erasing cultural identity.
In Germany, 1096, a guy named Peter the Hermit gets up in front of everybody and says, "We heard the Pope loud and clear. Let's do this." And he puts together what's called the People's Crusade. It's basically just a bunch of peasants, some knights. It's not the mercenary soldiers. It's not the knight. It's not all knights, right? It's just some peasants. They turn into a mob. And the first thing they do to sanctify the Crusades, this holy religious war, is they attack the Jews living in Germany.
Some churches radicalize members against one another, enforce child marriages, and manipulate fear of divine wrath to ensure obedience.
Imagine this, a church ordering the unaliving of an entire town, including innocent women and children. And when asked how to tell the difference between the innocent and the guilty, the response was, unalive them all, God will know his own. This is the shocking story of the massacre of the Cathars. In the 12th century, a Christian group called the Cathars spread across southern France. They believed in a purer, simpler version of Christianity, rejecting the Catholic Church's wealth and power. The Catholic Church didn't just see them as a rival to their faith, they saw them as a direct threat to their control. In 1209, Pope Innocent III launched the Albigensian Crusade, sending knights to crush the Cathars. Their first target, the city of Béziers, a stronghold for the movement. But there was a problem. Béziers wasn't just a home for the Cathars. Thousands of innocent Catholics lived there too. When Crusader commanders asked how to tell the difference, the chilling response was, take them all, God will know his own. What happened next was pure devastation. The city was overrun, homes were burned, and within hours, the streets were filled with those who never had a chance. Up to 20,000 people, men, women, and children, were gone in a single day. The army didn't stop to ask questions. They unalived everyone. And this was just the beginning. For the next 35 years, the Catholic Church waged a relentless campaign to erase the Cathars completely. Their last stronghold, Montségur, fell in 1244. Over 200 survivors were given a choice: renounce their faith or be led by their fate. They refused and they were sent into flames. This wasn't a war. It was a full-scale purge in the name of faith and power. The Cathars were wiped from history with their beliefs lost forever. So, was this really about religion or about absolute control?
Faith becomes a transaction, obedience and money for spiritual reward, rather than a personal relationship with God. It is striking that churches in Europe, where Christianity spread alongside imperial conquest, are largely empty. The descendants of those colonized lands, however, fill the churches in Africa and in Latin America. Faith has endured, but institutional practices have followed in the footsteps of European churches. Wealth accumulation, coercion, and moral authoritarianism. Congregants arrive seeking hope and guidance, often unaware of the historical patterns of control and exploitation embedded in the very institutions they attend. This global disparity highlights how faith and institutions are not synonymous. Consider the contrast. Jesus invited sinners. Modern churches vilify them. Peter suffered persecution. Modern popes govern from gold-plated palaces and persecute.
For a religion centered around love, Christianity has an incredibly violent history. The Crusades not only killed Muslims, but also sacked other Christian cities like Constantinople. The Christianization of the Americas wiped out entire civilizations, and the most violent wars in early modern history were ignited over theological disputes. The Christian religion of love and truth has so often led to hate and deceit. How do we make sense of this troubled past? How can these scandals not threaten one's faith?
Early Christians practiced generosity and humility. Institutions now demand tithes, sell indulgences in new forms, and flaunt wealth unimaginable to Jesus. The irony is almost comical. A carpenter's teachings have become a blueprint for opulence and control. Structures meant to guide the spirit often manipulate the human body, the human mind, and especially the human purse.
That it costs to sit up here. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close close the doors. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. This is an easy miracle. We should be able to raise $40,000 tonight just from y'all giving. I'm about to go get in my truck. I'm going to my hotel. Look at us. Yeah. Now after you come up here, you can open the doors. Y'all can walk out the door after you come up here. But make sure you come this way before you go out the door. That's it.
And the cost of the church is unimaginable. Children are forced into marriage, communities impoverished by tithes and donations, cultural erasure and spiritual trauma, mass hysteria over false miracles, fear replacing love as the primary motivator of faith. Churches may claim divine authority, but the consequences of their actions are human suffering. Accountability is rarely applied at the top, and victims often remain invisible. Faith is not an institution. It is personal, humble, and transformative. The moment we recognize the difference, we reclaim the power of our belief, free from manipulation, greed, and hypocrisy. The challenge is clear. Honor your faith, hold institutions accountable, and demand that churches live up to the principles of the God they claim to serve. Anything less is betrayal to humanity, to culture, and to God. Thank you for giving me your precious time and attention. Before I forget, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.